Morning, morning. What's up, everyone? What's up, YouTube? Hope you're all doing well. What an interesting number. Holy crap. That thing came out. We got that CPI report, and this was going to be a huge number all week. Everyone was waiting for it. Yesterday, we barely moved. And today, we just exploded to the upside. 4,200 on the S&P trades. Inflation, we got that CPI data year over year was expected to be at 8.7%. We came out at 8.5. So a lot of people are looking at this and thinking, well, wow, inflation has peaked. Now, naturally, we're going to have to see another number. We're going to have to see next month's number to kind of confirm that. But huge, massive move to the upswing. We traded live in our room, and a lot of people did really well. Someone actually made 14 grand this morning on the NASDAQ. That's insanity. But overall, the expected number was 8.7, down from the 9.1 from June. So this is July number, and we came out at 8.5. So massive drop off. We also saw that energy numbers had decreased drastically. So the oil numbers had dropped off pretty aggressively, and that, Jesus, a fly on my face, and that was a precursor to what had happened here. So we have PPI tomorrow as well. We got the core number that came out at 5.9, 0% increase, which was amazing. And we saw that the Federal Reserve, right? If you go to shit, what was it? FedWatch futures. If you go to that, you'll see that loading here on my computer. You'll see that the September number switched from yesterday, even like a few days ago, was near 70% expected to be 75 basis point hike in September. Now it's back to 61% for a 50 basis point hike in September. So very interesting. We saw that over the last month, U.S. National average gas prices actually fell under $4, and a lot of that was a little precursor to what we were expecting today as well, right? We got to watch those gas and oil prices. Some people pre-market, right, analysts were calling for not a peak of inflation. Again, it's just one number. We'll have to see how that shapes up, but so far so good. A lot of upside that broke up to the today. So this is in relation to a lot of earnings that came out. This is just one number, right? Tomorrow we have the PPI. PPI could be a precursor to next month's CPI. And remember, the PPI number that came out last time around was a fairly large number, and we got a massive rejection off that CPI report. So today there is a lot of upside pressure naturally, but I wouldn't be caught in that, right? I wouldn't necessarily be caught in, oh, okay, this has to go up. Just watch how the reactions open up in the morning, right? It could easily get faded down. We'll see what the reactions are here, because you have to take into consideration what the Fed is thinking about this as well, because the Fed's monetary policy and the supply of money, right, tightening or easing, whatever the case may be, is going to be factored into this report as well. Because remember, the top goal of the Fed is to subdue inflation until it is quote unquote subdued. So that's going to be a massive factor. Again, we're still looking at a 50 basis point hike. That doesn't mean necessarily we're taking a Fed pivot here. We're going to see what those reactions are, but it is leaning more so to the Fed not having to be as aggressive to kind of subdue these inflations. Still, an 8.5% year over year number is a lot larger than what we're used to. So we'll kind of see how that shapes up. Right now, we're trying to hold out a key resistance around that 4,200. And 4,200 is a massive area. We're still technically in a bear market. It is ripping faces for shorts that are getting in maybe a little prematurely here, especially on the tech side. Tech side, we've started to see a little cool off in that, right? These inflation numbers were really good for tech because tech is heavily impacted by higher inflation. So we'll see how the inflows and outflows hold out this week. I'm going to wait until the end of the week to kind of see how that is and see what the COT reports are like. They come, well, technically they were created yesterday, but they'll come out on Friday. So we'll see if commercial paper is still adding to those long positions, which can continue some of that upswing. Now, I'm still looking for a turning point. I don't know if it's going to be here. I don't know if it's going to be a little higher, but I think we're getting to the point that we are overbought. Remember, this is just one number in the grand scheme of things. And we'll see, of course, PPI that comes out tomorrow is going to be another large event that we have to take a look at. Now, that's, here, I just want to open a chart actually, make sure that I'm about the right things here because I'm on a laptop now trying to do this. Just looking at some comments while this loads. Yeah, next CPI is the last one before September as well. Um, Thoughts on filling the gap to the downside from this morning jump? I don't like it seems like a little aggressive. If you take a look at we're looking at this other platform right now that shows us the market maker positioning on a delta and gamma front, and they had a really good positioning at 413, which causes a pivot. So there was a lot of negative gamma and delta there, which would indeed mean that they're going to try and buy that and support that level up, because a lot of the positioning is to the positive side on the market maker front. And the same thing goes for that 318 on the triple Q. So I'm looking at the SPY and the triple Qs for these positions as well. So a gap fill, I don't necessarily know if that happens, but watch out because there are some sellers that are trying to get in at these tops right now, to try to push this down. I don't know how far down it goes because this is still a pretty good number, right? Tomorrow PPI, who knows? It could act as it did last time around and just get this massive reversal in the market. But I wouldn't be just blindly bullish in this right now. You still have to see the reaction, still have to see how the first like 30, 20 minutes go in this market to kind of figure out what the next potential move might be. I think the first move is going to be an attempted push to the downside. I don't know how far it gets naturally, but there's a lot of stuck longs and a lot of short paper that's coming through. So it's going to be interesting trying to navigate this. There was a lot of money potential pre-market right now. Like the move might be a little more subdued throughout the day, but again, there's still potential for that. In other news, like this pretty much uh clouds all other news that's been in the market realistically. So all eyes are on this inflation report and see how money flows into the market off this open, because there's going to be a lot of activity off the open and on the close today, especially coming into that PPI report that comes out tomorrow. So uh, crypto stocks, right? That's another thing to look at because it seems like crypto has a fairly close correlation with what's going on in this market. And crypto, a lot of the stocks, coin, for example, posted a poor earnings report, is down 65% year to date, down 10% pre-market here, or sorry, down about like 6% pre-market, down 10% the prior session, and putting a lot of downside pressure on that. On Coinbase. We'll see how that shapes up today. It's not really my top focus. My top focus is probably going to be on these equity markets and seeing how this inflation data actually shapes up. Um, some levels on the SPY, right? 415, 416. They'd want to hold 417.50 naturally for the bull side. It's very, very close to where price at right now. But the 416 area, I do like that. See how that shapes up. But I am looking for a rejection in and around these high 419s, 420s. I don't necessarily think that we get too far through that 4,200 on the S&P futures today. Um, Off the open at least, right? That could quickly turn into the end of the day, into the afternoon. But there's a lot of positioning that's looking for a little slip down to start the day. And again, it could be 10 points, it could be 20 points, it could be the whole move, but we're going to see how these orders react realistically. So that's what I'm going to be watching for today. We're going to see that next month's report for this inflation is going to be very important because you need to see multiple reports gradually turning down on the inflation front rather than just this one and saying, okay, it's peaked, and we can just go about our lives. We need to see gradual continuation over the next few reports. The next report, like George was mentioning in the chat, is going to be the last one before that Fed announcement, and we could see a drastic um, repositioning on the expectation of the Fed hike, so 50 to 75 basis points. If they start cooling off and there's a potential for even a 25 basis point hike, that could be what some people would call a Fed pivot in that case. So not too much to update this morning, other than just talking about that inflation data and seeing where these prices could go. Um, but yeah, I don't really have too much else. I don't really want to look at other news. I think it's going to be very important to see how this plays out on the index front today, based on this news that came out and coming into the news tomorrow. So why don't we wrap it up here? Um, it was a very good report that we traded live with our room. So go check us out at tradeproacademy.com. We do have masterclass and futures as well for order flow stuff. And we'll see you guys in our live trading rooms that we're going to open for futures and options today. So it could be an interesting day, right? We could get a massive rejection like we saw last time around, right? Massive drop, pop the next day, and a lot of those losses were erased. So why don't we open those rooms and we'll see you guys in there. So chat soon and see you tomorrow.